Hello, nice to be here. Does the European Commission believe that setting a target date for enlargement is a good idea? And if it does 2030 seem like a good date?
Thank you very much for your question, Lawrence. You know, first of all, that enlargement is a priority and a political priority for us. The President specifically has been saying in Brussels, as well as when visiting candidate countries, how committed we are to making the next waves of enlargement a success. We have always said that enlargement is a merit-based process, which means that candidates should join the European Union when ready. And this is an important factor in managing effectively the preparations of candidate countries. And as you know, we worked closely with the candidate countries to help them prepare and to implement the reforms that are necessary for joining the Union. But once more, for us, it's a merit-based process. Follow up?
Thanks. So, I mean, Michel's argument yesterday was that by setting a target date, you can get momentum inside the EU to address the problems. You can get the candidates focused on that date. You can get investment flowing. Is he just wrong?
Thank you, Lawrence. You know us well enough to know that we are not commenting on what partners or other stakeholders are saying. I can simply state our position and our vision of enlargement and how the process is best managed. And once more, the key word for us and the bottom line for us is that enlargement is merit-based and should stay merit-based. Any other questions on this subject, David?
Yes, thank you, Dana. Do you think that the EU is ready for the enlargement, or do you think that there should be some internal reform, even institutional reform or treaty reforms? And when the debate should take place, since the Commission should be normally the institution who propose these sort of things? Thank you.
Thank you so much, David. Indeed, enlargement requires both the candidate countries and the European Union to prepare. It would be improper at this stage for me to speculate or go more on the substance of such preparation on the European Union side, because, as you know, we are expecting to have such a debate at leaders level at the Granada informal summit convened by the Spanish presidency of the EU in the following week. So we expect that meeting indeed to be a fruitful highest political level discussion about indeed that aspect of enlargement, which is preparations on the European Union side. Additional discussions on this topic? Yes, go ahead.
Besides the stone which Charles Michel has hit in the water, I would like to know, do you already have a date when the Commission will come up with the progress reports of the candidates and the enlargement? It was foreseen in October. Is it already clear when it will be exactly? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Anna is signaling me that there is no date, no specific dates which was set, but indeed it's around October. Go ahead. I think it's Augustine, yes.
Yes, thank you. So what does the President of the Commission think about setting the dates? Because we have heard many statements, political statements, ideas, plans, plenty of anniversaries of Thessaloniki, Zagreb, Sofia, etc. But nothing concrete has happened in enlargement process in last several years, apart from giving candidate status to Ukraine and Moldova. So if I remember well, President also said that there is a need for new dynamic in enlargement, for something to happen, because Croatia became a member over 10 years ago. Since then, EU even shrinked with one less member, with UK leaving. So you are speaking about enlargement, but it's not happening. would setting the date really encourage both candidate countries to speed up their reforms and fulfill the criteria, and the EU to prepare itself to absorb them?
Thank you very much for relaunching the question about a date. As I said several times already today, we are not focused on a date. We are focused on working very closely with the candidates countries to get ready for joining the European Union. We are focused on supporting them on the reforms. We are focused on the investments that are helping them transform their economies and get closer to the regulatory requirements that are important to fulfill before joining the European Union. So this is the answer on the question on a date. Again, enlargement is merit-based, and we hope that each candidate country will be motivated to implement the reforms and to be ready to accede at its own pace. Regarding enlargement, well, I would refer you to the very many acts and statements that we have been putting out since this Commission started its mandate almost 4 years ago. You know very well that beyond Ukraine and Moldova, the Western Balkans are a major priority for the European Union, clearly for the European Commission. You have been following the sequence of instruments that we have put on the table, some of them presented by the President, in order to both accelerate the level of ambition both for regional integration and cooperation in the Western Balkans and for getting them closer to the European Union even before accession, and as a third stream to support them in preparations for accession. So I think that this Commission has a very clear record in terms of making enlargement a priority and giving further impulses for enlargement, particularly to the Western Balkans, since you referred to it, in order to bring the region closer to the European Union and to reaffirm and strengthen their European path. Any other questions on this? Mose, once more, go ahead.
Yes, a very quick follow-up on a previous question last Tuesday when I asked about the pre-detention rate in candidate countries, and I looked it up because there was some criticism against Albania by Greece about the detention of politicians there, as you remember. I just wonder if this issue, which also of course concerns the EU member states, if we will figure, let's say, in the coming progress reports. It seems that, for example, that Albania of all countries has the highest pre-detention rate, both when it comes in relation to its prison population, but also in relation to its number of inhabitants, where it's just followed by Russia. Is this something which will be dealt with, you think, in the progress report? Thank you.
Jose, so I cannot anticipate at this point in time what exactly the progress reports in the case of Albania will say with regards to pretrial detention, but obviously, as you say, that in general aspects pertaining to justice systems are on our radar and feature in the discussions that we have with the candidate countries. I wonder if Anna has anything more specific on this topic to add at this point in time, or whether he will get back to you. No, he signals me that she does, she doesn't? She does.
Well, no specific comment. I mean, as Dana said, we're obviously monitoring the situation in all the candidate countries, including when it comes to Albania. We do not have a date to announce to you at this stage when it comes to the publication of the next enlargement reports. And concretely, when it comes to the pre-detention, there's obviously a case law of the European Court of Human Rights in Strasbourg, which of course, as always, we expect it to be followed. And I think that Christian had already mentioned the situation when it comes to the situation inside the EU member states and the recommendation made by the Commission, as well as the time frame that member states have to follow this up.
Thank you. Now Anna is on stage. If you have any more questions about this, Lawrence, go ahead.
Sorry to press the issue about the date, but in all seriousness, if I'm sitting in Ukraine reading European newspaper articles saying that the EU has said it should be ready and Ukraine should be ready by 2030, you say you're not going to comment on any other partner. I mean, Charles Michel is not any other partner. He's the other leading figure in the EU institutions. So is he right? Is 2030 a date that if I'm sitting in Ukraine, I should take seriously? Or is it just a load of nonsense?
Thank you very much for your question, Lawrence. I have nothing to add to what I have said. I have said what is our perspective with regards to the dynamic of the enlargement process and our role, that of the European Commission, which is to work very hard with the candidate countries on preparing for accession, on depending on where they are, on the start of negotiations, on advancing in negotiations, on reforming their economies, on reforming various policies, on adapting their regulatory environment. So this is our daily job, that of the European Commission, and this is what we are focusing on. And enlargement is for us a merits-based process where candidates move at their own speed towards the European Union. Diego.
Thank you, Dana. So, since this was the President of the European Council's main announcement of the rentrée, I wondered if he coordinated it with the Commission President at any point, or was this just something that came out of his mind without discussing the idea with you? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Diego. I'm not aware of any contacts in relation to this speech. I see another hand up in the system, and that is from Marit. Go ahead. Supposing it's about this very topic.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Can you hear me well? Yes. Okay, Marit Jones for Euronews. So my question does relate to accession and actually another candidate country, which is Bosnia and Herzegovina. The European Court of Human Rights published a judgment today that concludes that elections in Bosnia and Herzegovina have been undemocratic and have amplified ethnic divisions in the country because of the privileges they give to the so-called constituent peoples. So given that it is a candidate country, and this was announced in December last year upon the recommendation of the Commission, how does the Commission react to the decision today? And what reforms does the Commission believe are necessary so that citizens can exercise their political rights without discrimination in the country? Thank you.
Thank you, Anna.
Many thanks for the question. So what we can say is that obviously the European Union takes note of the decision of the European Court of Human Rights in the Kovacevski case. Bosnia and Herzegovina needs to fulfill the 14 key priorities identified in the Commission's opinion of 2019 on its EU membership application in order to open EU accession negotiations. Among these, you might recall that Bosnia is called to ensure that elections are conducted in line with European standards by implementing OSCE, ODIHR, and relevant Venice Commission recommendations, and ensure equality and non-discrimination of citizens, notably by addressing the Sejdić-Finci EC Strasbourg, the Court of Strasbourg case law, and this is the priority number 4. You might recall as well that obviously the European Council has also called on leaders to urgently finalize the pending constitutional and electoral reforms, and these should be advanced as a matter of utmost priority. The European Union, of course, remains available to support the parties in reaching a solution in line with European standards for the benefit of all citizens of Bosnia and Herzegovina.
Thank you, Anna. Any more questions for Anna on enlargement topic? Yeah, but it's